Welcome to Living Martial Arts with Master Ray Gale, aka the Dark Master. Living Martial Arts discuss and examines the everyday exercise, philosophy, and lifestyle of the martial arts enthusiast. The host talks about his own training, past and present, and he also interviews many martial artists to discover how they continue to live their own martial arts journey. Tune in for top tips on how to get the best out of your martial art. Or perhaps you're thinking of starting a martial art. This podcast offers you an easy way to dip your toe in. Sign up for the newsletter at livingmartialarts.com and get regular updates and training tips direct to your inbox. Follow the Dark Master on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Living Martial Arts.
Hi and hello to the Living Martial Arts podcast fans. It's me, the Dark Master. I'm back with another fantastic guest and yet another person recommended to me by the great Alfie Lewis, which I'm sure you all know. I've spoken to him a number of times. So I've got Mr. Duncan Perry, who's going to be chatting to us about his martial arts journey. How are you doing, Duncan?
I'm very good, thank you, sir.
Excellent. Well, I know we've just been speaking. You've thanks for doing this because I know you've just come back from holiday and you had a great time. But I really appreciate you taking the time to share some of your your story and your insight.
My pleasure.
So yeah, without further ado, then really, I'm just gonna, as I do with all my guests, sort of give us a bit of an overview of your martial arts journey, and perhaps I'll ask some questions about that. So go for it and how it started and so on.
I'm 55. Started in the 1970s.
Yeah.
And I was watching Kung Fu, the David Carradine thing, and we were living in Cardiff at the time, and Sifu Frank Linch advertised in the Cardiff, whatever the evening paper was. Obviously, I didn't read it. Saying he wanted kids to join his Lau Gar Kung Fu class.
Yeah.
Well, because I was obsessed with his TV program, everyone was like, "You want to go?" Well, absolutely. So I think I was probably about 8 or 9.
Yeah.
We did. Me and my brother went, and it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because even though I was doing the kids stuff, I could see over there was adults and they got the weapons, and I'm like, oh wow, and it just really floated my boat right from then. Then we moved house 2 or 3 years later. I did my first couple of belts with Sifu Frank Linch.
Yeah.
And we moved house, and there were no martial arts classes near us because it's not like it is now, is it?
No.
So I just fell out of it. Then later on, a couple of events happened, and I just went and found the nearest karate class that I could find, which is a club called Mushin Kai in Castleford, and that was it. Started again. Started with that. Then I got into a couple of competitions. Then I met Sensei Alfie Lewis and Mushin Kai. I've done some stuff with Hugh Crawford. I've been just done some Chinwoo Kung Fu with Alistair Monteith. So everything just gets me. There's no good or bad. There's just you.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, coming back to a couple of things you said there, it's funny with the I mean, obviously a lot of people mention when their first taste of sort of martial arts is movies and probably Bruce Lee. I don't know whether you got exposed to that, but you mentioned David Carradine, which was I've actually got the album here, the Kung Fu album, which I bought.
All right.
Yeah, which has all the strange music and it has the master talk, and it's really I love it. I love it.
It's cool. It's just and I've rewatched it again a couple of years ago, obviously with the internet, and it did the same again for me.
Yeah. No, it is fantastic, and it was a really popular program. I remember going with my mates and messing around and pretending you were David Carradine and about the rice paper and walking on.
How can you hear the grasshoppers at your feet? How can you not?
Yeah,
all that stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. It was great. Well, again, come back. You mentioned uh, Frank Linch, and obviously, your Lau Gar
Yeah.
route there. Because I mean, they've got quite a big. I grew up in Bristol, and there's quite a big
Oh yeah.
Lau Gar following in Bristol.
Yeah.
Sean Vieira, and
Yeah.
was a good friend of mine. Well, still is a good friend of mine, and there was quite a lot of Lau Gar. But you also mentioned that it's funny because there wasn't much. People listening to this might find it difficult, but there was very little martial arts around. Even when I started, I had to go all the way across town to a karate school.
Yeah.
Take a bus, get across. There was,
Yeah.
and then that was a karate class.
Yeah.
And then when I found Taekwondo, the only reason I went there was because it was in walking distance.
That's what it was like.
Yeah.
Because we moved from Cardiff, and we were sort of like 2 miles from Cardiff Sports Centre, which is where Frank Linch was doing his classes. So that was easy. My mum and dad could finish work, drop us off. They'd go and have a bit to eat or whatever they did. Probably just sat in the car and went to sleep because they got rid of us for a bit. And they picked us up, and it was easy for them.
Yeah.
Then we moved to Cinderford in the Forest of Dean, and the nearest any martial arts class was Gloucester, which was because an hour drive away. From my parents, or half an hour, and they said we just couldn't do it. We couldn't afford it, and we couldn't get. So that's what happened.
Yeah.
So when I moved up to Yorkshire. I've moved around a little bit. So I moved up to Yorkshire, had an operation, died, came back, which is why my voice is a bit weird.
Wow.
Yeah, I had my thyroid out, and burst.
Wow.
Anyway, so when I came out lying in the hospital, I'm like, shit to this. I'm going to do anything. The first martial arts class I come across, I'm going to do it. I'm going to find it, and I'm going to do it, and that's it. And that's what it was.
Yeah. Wow. What a story. What was I don't know if you had similar sort of experiences. Obviously, you started as a younger person. I was sort of mid-teens when I started. But what was the regime like for young kids? Because in the 70s, I mean, it was quite a lot of the instructors were quite brutal. So I don't know what Frank Linch was like.
Okay, so I can remember his warm-up. I can remember it. So it was Cardiff Sports Centre, so it was a sports hall, so it was quite large. So even as a 8 or 9 year old, I remember going in, and you do a lap of the sports hall, and then you do 5 press-ups on your knuckles. Yeah, that lap, 5 press-ups, normal, 5 press-ups on your wrist, 5 press-ups on your fingers, and that was the warm-up basically. And you do that, and it was the lap and 5, and it would basically, you do that. And then we do the stretch, same as we know. But he never, from what I can remember, he never watered anything down for us.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't allow us to play with the weapons. I'm dangerous enough with a weapon now, mainly to myself. But he wouldn't allow us to play with the weapons. He wouldn't. We could see them, and but we couldn't sort of pick them up and swing them around and stuff.
Yeah.
That was higher grade stuff, not just, I believe it, because there was only 3 kids in the class.
Oh, right. Okay.
It was me, my brother, and my younger brother. It must have affected him because he's he's an absolute pacifist, cannot bear any kind of fighting or violence, or he won't come to a competition or anything. So it must have affected him somehow. But
yeah.
So if there's a fight in a pub, he's off, he's gone. So he hates it, hates any kind of violence anyway. So which we don't do we?
No.
Martial arts isn't about violence, it's about the control of the beautiful things.
Definitely.
Well, sort of.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that.
Yeah. So it was the regime was very, very tough, and I remember dragging myself out of there.
Yeah.
Even as a little child, dragging myself out of there and lying on the back seat of the car and going to sleep with my brother. and it would have only been 7 o'clock at night when we walked out. So it was yeah,
Yeah.
it was hard.
No, fantastic. I've got quite a history with Wales actually in Taekwondo because
All right.
my first summer camp, my first, I want to say first 5 sort of outdoor summer camps was in up near a place called Tresaith,
Yeah,
Aberystwyth, Cardigan Bay, around there, and we used to go there every year for a week.
yeah,
And the beach was lovely up there. The beach,
yeah,
we used to see dolphins there,
yeah.
and things like that. And it was very, very. I haven't been there for years, but there were hardly any tourists there at all.
No,
And we generally used to go and we used to camp for a week. We used to literally run down the road barefoot to the beach, run back, and the locals just thought we were absolutely crazy.
well, I've just come back from Ibiza, and the nights where I wasn't clubbing or whatever. So because you have a big one and a steady one. The steady one, I'd sort of like wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, put a pair of shorts, and I'll go down onto the beach, and I'm doing kata on the beach.
Yeah.
Well, it recenters everything, doesn't it? So I'm doing kata and forms on the beach.
Yeah.
And I've always, since I restarted martial arts from 20 odd years ago, I've always done that sort of thing. And you do get people stood there going, really? And then after a while, you just go, I don't care what you're looking at.
Yeah,
I'm doing it.
Yeah. Well, I often say to the kids that I teach, when you go on holiday, get on the beach, do your forms, and don't worry about what people think or what people say. You just got to do it.
Yeah. But then if people are stood watching, or you're the interesting one, they're interested. You're the interesting one. That's important.
Yeah. And it's also good. It's a good time because I try and get. I don't know what your thoughts on this. I try and get through to the youngsters, particularly that martial arts is not just twice a week for an hour. You got to live it. You got to live it.
Yeah.
I get that they got other things to do and they might like football and stuff like that. I said, but it's got to be part of your life. You got to live it. Get up and go, right, okay, walk. And I used to say to them, when I was before I was a full-time instructor, I used to sort of stand at the bus stop doing my and people used to think I was absolutely wrong.
Yeah, I do that. I still do that now.
Yeah,
I sit in the car in a traffic jam and I'm like, and you can see people sat there going, but I don't care.
No,
not only do I not care, I love it.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. It's that passion, isn't it?
Yeah.
So moving on from you obviously you restarted your. When you restarted, was that with Mushin Kai? Did you say?
No, that was with a club called Zenku Kai in Castleford. I'm still with them now, or I still teach with those now. Just getting ready to start my own club. So.
Oh wow!
Okay, yeah. So another big step.
Yeah, and what was that? Was that the one in Castleford? Was that a Chinese-based martial art, or was it Japanese-based?
No, that was Wadaru karate.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah. So I've done. I graded in that up to second dan in Wadaru, which I do love karate. I love Wadaru.
Yeah. What was that? Do you find that's more because your body type or what?
Honestly, I am as far from a natural athlete as anybody could possibly get.
Right.
I'm overweight. I'm asthmatic. I just don't. I don't fit anything. The style of karate that I've tried that suits my body type the most is probably Mushin Kai. Because you don't bounce, you stand and you hit. Well, that's all right. I can hit and get hit.
Yeah.
Everything else where you're bouncing around, Taekwondo would kill me. It really would. All that moving about. So I have to adapt. You adapt and evolve, don't you? But yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because I started with karate in about 75, and I was quite small. I was still quite small now, and I just found it really tough. These guys were, reverse punch. and I was sort of coming home bruised and battered.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I always went back because that was my. I was never. I was always very competitive, and I thought, right, I'm going to go back and try and do better or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I remember walking up the road and going to this taekwondo class, and they had like little people there, and they were all jumping around. I thought, that's me.
I fit there. I fit there. I'm going there. Yeah. Yeah.
That's me. So, I often, sort of see people think, that they'd make a good karate person, or they'd make a good, or they make a good taekwondo exponent, and so on.
Yeah.
Sort of body types and stuff. But the Mushin Kai is I must try and actually try and speak to someone who does that. I haven't spoken to. I used to have a good friend years ago.
Yeah.
I was an aircraft engineer when I left school, and I had a friend who was into Mushin Kai. We always used to. Well, actually, there was a group of us. We had a kung fu guy, karate, but we always used to sort of swap techniques and sort of say, well, yeah, we do this, but we do it this way, or we do it this way. And it was a really good melting pot. I love that.
Yeah. Because these subtle differences, they change everything. The subtle and we've got hands and feet, and we've all got exactly the same amount, pretty much, and nobody's got any extra ones. And there's only so many ways you can hit or punch or defend or move.
Yeah.
And when somebody gives you a subtle difference, that can alter everything that you do. That tiny little bit, just where you point your toes as you move, that sort of thing. And people, the more you learn and the more you look at all these different arts, and you go out and play, because for me it's like going out to play. And you go out and you play with people, and they tell you these things, and it takes this technique and makes it this technique, by adding that tiny little bit for me. I love it. I do love it. I really do. No, that's great. So you were talking, you mentioned there about excuse me, you mentioned there about opening you're opening a school soon. So what brought that around, or why haven't you done it before, or why now? Just changes in life. Changes in life, and feels like the right time. Obviously I go to Liverpool and train pretty much every week in Liverpool. I have no idea how, but I've become very good friends with Sensei Alfie Lewis. And no idea how. We're not the same person, and I don't, but we are. And he for a couple of years now, he's been saying to me, you should, and I'm right on the verge of doing it now. So so it's the next few months it'll be done.
Well, no, good luck with that. I reckon he's mentioning that because you come over as a nice guy, and I think that the one thing I know about most of, not all, I've met a few bad ones, if you want to call it that.
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah.
In the time, but most martial arts teachers are nice people, and they like helping people.
Yeah.
And they're passionate about what they do and getting it across. So I've no doubt that you're the same as that.
Yeah, absolutely. When you teach somebody, it's about getting them further than they ever thought they would, and getting them to evolve as much as they can and as far as they can, and just realizing who and what they are.
Yeah. No, I agree. So on the your sort of martial arts journey, you mentioned about loving the castle. Was competition something that you liked, or did you try it, didn't like it?
Right. So I never thought I was ever competitive.
Yeah.
Club in Castleford wasn't competitive. They never went to a competition ever. And we had 3 kids come to us and say, we've seen some competitions on YouTube, we'd like to go. All right, well, I've never been to one, so do you know what, I'll have a little look. I went along to it was a WKC Nationals,
right,
and just had a little look and saw saw Alfie and Mushin Kai and all that lot there. I didn't approach him. I didn't talk to him. I was just like, wow, this is what I want to be doing. Then came back to the club and I said, right, we've had a look. Just let me do a couple of competitions because I can't teach you what it's going to be like if I've never done it and been through it. So I think I did CMA, Cobra Martial Arts, because that's our governing body, did one of their national competitions. Then I did a couple of revolutions because they all just happened to be like within like 4 weeks of each other. And came back and said, right, this is what we need to do. Because I did some kumite, some kata. Didn't really win anything, but I realized that I got it in me. And then I started training kids to compete because competition martial arts is different to club martial arts, isn't it?
It is,
yeah. And that, I mean, that did shock me ever so slightly, but so that was the whole reason I started competing. Anyway, they've all gone. They don't compete anymore. None of them compete. It's just me in the club that competes now, and nobody else wants to.
Just you. Well, I'm sure you'll be an example. But as you said, it's interesting. You know what you mentioned there about doing it yourself, so you know what it's like, and you can sort of pass that on. Because I often say about competition, it's about facing your fears. Because there's a guy on the side of the mat wanting to punch you. And whatever happens, there's going to be some contact going on there. So it's about overcoming that and facing that fears.
Yeah, and you've got to step on the mat and fight without being angry, without being mad. You've still got that adrenaline dump. You've still got all that rubbish going through your head. I'm terrified here. I guess everybody is, because I've never not been terrified when I'm about to fight. And I always stand there and think, oh my God, I've paid to do this. Why have I done this? Why? And then minute and a half later, 2 minutes later, the round's over, and I'm thinking again. And but if I couldn't have explained that to any of those kids or anybody that wanted to compete, then I'm shortchanging them. And on any level, I will not do that in my life.
Yeah. No, I think it's important. It's important to, if you've experienced it yourself, you can pass it on. You can say, well, this might happen or that might happen, and so on. So do you have is there anyone you're teaching at the moment you think, or at the moment you think, well, they'd make a good competitor. I just need to mold them. I've got 3 kids. They're in a beginner's karate class at the moment. And WMO do combat nunchucks. Oh, okay.
Is
that with Lee?
That's it, with Lee Kwende, yes.
I spoke to him a few days ago, actually. Yeah.
Right. So he is one cool mister. I love Sensei Lee Kwende. He's just a beautiful man. And he knows so much, so much. He's so clever. So respect. So because these kids are sort of like 8, 9, 10. Well, if I put gloves on them and say, there you go, this is what we're going to do, they get scared. If I give them a prop, which is the nunchucks, the foam nunchucks, and say, right, you've got a head guard on, you've got a mask on, you can't get hurt, you've got foam nunchucks. This is combat. Because none of them have ever done anything like that before, so they're getting used to the timing, the distances. Then so that's why I've started with them. Now I've taken the stuff and put gloves on and go, right, we're just a little bit closer now. We've got a head guard on, we're all right. So I'm working with them. So them 3. I think they're going to be quite a positive influence. Well, positive force on the mat.
No, that's good. It's nice to see them come through. I often not because I want them to feel the thing about winning, but I want them to test themselves and say, right,
Yeah,
put themselves in and come out of their comfort zone. I think it's important, because you can get quite comfortable week after week in the in the dojo.
yeah, yeah.
But get out your comfort zone a little bit and push yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was probably about 6 years ago. I had a guy, an adult. I was teaching him, and he worked for quite a large company as a PR officer. Right? And so good weekend. He said, yeah, I've been in Madrid or wherever. I'm like, all right, what were you doing? And he said, I was hosting a conference with the bank and Bob Geldof, and I'm like, all right. So you get to meet him. He says, well, yeah, I got to spend the weekend with him. So that was all right. So he would do that. He'd stand in front of 10,000 people and talk.
Yeah.
Right. So I've taught him our first kata, Pino Nidan. So, nice and gently. So for his grading, for his first grading, I said, Pino Nidan, do it in front of the class. And he melted. He just couldn't do it. So I said, look, just calm down. It's all right. We'll do it when we're ready. Yeah. So took him outside and said, so what happened? I said, you were talking at the weekend in front of 10,000 people. And he says, yeah, but that's a different me. He says, I'm stood up there. I can't see them.
Yeah.
There's a microphone. There's a thing. He says, there's people behind me that they're looking at. They're not looking at me. He said, this was 30 people looking at me.
Yeah.
Well, I said, but that's just your perspective. I said, but then when I eventually got him to do it in front of the class, he was almost in tears because he'd done that. And he found that more scary than standing in front of thousands of people. So yeah, everything is taking people out of their comfort zone. He would never ever do a competition ever. Just the thought of doing that would kill him.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. I spoke to it was a few years ago now. Actually, I spoke to a recruitment consultant.
Yeah.
And they said that a lot of youngsters. They said a lot the youngsters won't appreciate this from me, but recruitment consultant said that exams are easier now, and they said that everybody's got, all the kids have got 5 GCSEs and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a woman. She was saying to me that employers are now looking for something different, and if they come up against somebody, for example, because I think it was her son that was training, has a belt in a martial art, they see that as quite a big deal, because the fact that they've managed to do that over a period of time, taken their own time, they've dedicated themselves to actually get that. Whereas something like school, they've got to go to school, but something like a martial art, they don't have to do. So that it's not a case of them being on a tablet or an iPad day after day, night after night, just going through it. So she said it's quite impressive to employers if you've got a black belt in a martial art.
Wow. And I suppose it would be, because it's, especially if the employer understands what you've gone through, how many years that takes.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're just that something different that makes them stand out to all the others that are just the same, and having that dedication. Going in there twice a week, and particularly again if they start from a young age.
I think right, when I've had kids come to a class and they wouldn't talk to an adult, they wouldn't leave their mum, they wouldn't, and then to see them grow and move on, and all of a sudden they're helping with the warm-up and the stretch. And you're like, wow, 10 weeks ago you wouldn't even leave your mum. Now it allows people to develop. It's not a tool for it allows people to personally develop rather than and you've got to do it on your own. You play rugby or football or whatever, and you're part of a team, you're part of a machine. You do martial arts at whatever point, you at some point will be on a mat on your own, and you're either going to fight, do a kata, or do whatever you're going to do. And just to step on the mat, whether you win, lose, or draw, just to step on the mat is overcoming so much. and I keep telling people that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're talk about rugby there. You're in the heart of rugby league land. I love rugby league. I love
Yeah.
rugby. I really do. Even though I'm in the heart of rugby union land.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. Yeah.
I used to go over to the. I haven't been for a number of years. I don't know if they're still having it. They used to have the rugby league weekend at the Millennium Stadium.
The Magic Weekend.
Yeah, and I used to go across to that one. And really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I'm probably the only person in Yorkshire that has nothing to do with rugby league.
All right.
My partner keeps saying to me, "I'll take you to a match." I'm like, "Yeah, do that." So yeah, it's on the list. I will go one day. But
yeah, I like the strength and power of it. To be honest,
yeah.
I like the hits they take.
Oh, they take some big hits, don't they? Because I do. Because I sit and watch it on telly with our kids. Because they both play. So it's yeah. So I do sort of understand it. I'm just I'm not as into it as I possibly should be living in Yorkshire.
Oh, I don't know. It's not compulsory, but yeah, I know what you mean.
It nearly is round here. It's like breathing.
Well, I mean, you've you meant talking about rugby. It's a strange question. I sort of, one of my passions is playing guitar, and I sort of take my my focus, if you want to call it focus, from my martial arts across to my guitar playing. In the way that I practice. I'm very consistent.
Yeah.
So I practice every day, even if it's only for a little bit. Because I tell my students, say, listen, if you've got 5 or 10 minutes, you can do a lot. You can do a lot of practice a little bit of your form or whatever, and so on.
Yeah.
And I do the same with my guitar. I don't know if there's anything. My question. So I'm coming to my question here. I don't know if there's anything that you do, any other passions that you have, where you feel actually that the martial arts has really helped with that.
Strangely, right, nothing I actually do. I'm a little bit obsessed. I'm a little bit obsessed with Disney.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting one.
Yeah. So but yeah, that if I read a book, I'm reading a book.
Yeah.
There's no, the focus is there and there's nothing else. And usually it's a book about Disney or psychology or martial arts.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because that's pretty much what my focus is. I don't watch much telly. I don't, because I'm always out or training.
I chucked my television out years ago.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I haven't got a television.
Excellent. Yeah. So I genuinely, I go to work and people say, "Did you watch dinner last night?" No, no, and I just don't. So
yeah,
but yeah, no. Musically, not a hope in hell of me singing or dancing. Well, dancing's fine. Singing or playing a tune, not gonna happen.
Well, it's the Disney one is interesting. I mean, I do mention to my students, you can. The good thing about martial arts is you can do it anywhere, and it's something that you don't have to have a we call it a dobok or a gi. You don't have to have that on. You can do it in normal clothes, and
and you can do it anywhere. You can do it in the woods, in a park. You can do it on a beach. You can do it in your bathroom. Doesn't matter.
Exactly, and go for that. So we're coming towards the end of the podcast. It's gone quite quickly, actually, as it always does. I love talking about martial arts passion. I just wonder if there's anything else that within your martial arts that you want to mention that that you I mean, obviously you mentioned about the Mushin Kai, and you starting your teaching. I always love the physical side of. I still love the physical side of martial arts. I still challenge myself to do more push-ups than anyone else. Stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm the oldest guy in our classes in Castleford. and I make sure I do more than anybody else. I have to. For me, I have to. Going and training, doing my first Dan with Mushin Kai, really opened up my life to martial, just more than I ever thought I could with martial arts.
Yeah.
The stuff that I do over there, that club, you go to a lot of clubs that say they're family, and I've been to a few clubs, but man, Mushin Kai is family, and the love you get over there is unreal, and I can't recommend them highly enough. And when I start my own club, that's the feeling I want, the feeling of inclusiveness.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Well, I think, hey, the bottom line is, I think with all this, it comes from the top, doesn't it? And if you can get
absolutely
that students know whether it's about them or whether it's about you. Do you know what I mean? They know, they can feel that.
Yeah.
I think that's important, that you know. So sometimes I say to my students, if I'm asking them to do something that's difficult, I say to them, listen, I'm asking you to do this out of love.
Yeah, because it's not about me.
No.
I'm the least important person in that room.
Yeah.
Students are always the most important people.
Yes,
without a doubt. Because what they're there to pick up off me. I've already done it. Yeah, well, I'm still doing it. Yeah, so I'm still doing it. But they're the most important people in the room, without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely. I think that comes. Well, listen, I want to. I have spoken to a few people that Alfie's put me onto from north of the country, and I've promised that I will come up there and have a look at the Mushin Kai dojang, and
you really should
go to Ragas for some Jamaican.
Yeah, without a doubt, the food in Liverpool is amazing.
Yeah, well, they have that. It's a bit like, to be honest, I think it may be a bit like Bristol, because there's a big black population in Bristol. It's very multicultural, which is where I grew up. So and also, you know, now from all over the world, Africa, Asia. So you get all the food that comes with it, which is great.
Yeah. And I do like food. Yeah.
I'm going to say food is also one of my passions. I do love my food.
Yeah, I like food. I love cooking.
Yeah. Great. Fantastic. Well, hey, another thing we have in common as well. I love to cook.
Yeah.
My mum started to teach me to cook when I was about sort of 10 or 11, because I used to get home first from school, and she was working. My mum and dad were working. So she said, right, I want you to do this.
Exactly the same with me. Yeah. So and it just started off with spaghetti bolognese and all that stuff, and then it was like, then before you know it, you're like, I'm on it now.
Yeah. Confidence thing. But I have to, sorry, it's a chit chat. I have to say, but my mum was a great cook, but because she was so good, she never used recipes, and I say, how much do I put in, Mum? She said, well, just enough. I said, well, how much is that? She said, well, just a little bit. I said, well, she said, and she go, well, look at it and taste it. You got to look at it. You got to taste it, and then it'll tell you. So, you know, she was very good in that respect. But she was a hard act to follow, and I miss her every day. To be honest, I miss her food. I miss her every day. Yeah.
My mum passing that really destroyed me for quite a while. A couple of years, I was probably off the. Not who I really am. So I miss her.
Yeah, it's tough. As my mum passed in 2016, and I say to people, I was lucky enough to care for her for the last few years of her life. And the strange thing is, I found out more about my mum in the last 3 or 4 years of her life, because I spent that much time with her than I ever did. Because there were questions I asked her that I would probably never have asked her, because I wouldn't have been there or whatever. So it's you know, folks, listen to this. You know, find out about your parents and what they loved, and their hopes and dreams and so on.
Write it down.
Write it down. Do it now. Do it now. But hey, listen, Duncan, I want to thank you very much for taking the time. Just hang on after we finish this, after we close a little chat. But I want to say thank you very, very much for taking.
Thank you very much.
I can see why Alfie has asked you to do that, because I think you've got a very warm personality, and I think that you'll do well. And I don't see success as necessarily having champions. It's just people that want to be in your school.
Yeah,
Just people that want to be in your school. That's successful.
That's what success is. If I can get somebody to do something that they never thought they'd do, then I'm a winner. They're a winner. Everybody's a winner. That means more. It's in here, not on the mat.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much for that. Thanks for taking the time. I want to thank the Living Martial Arts podcast fans for listening to this, and hopefully we'll catch up with you very, very soon with another guest on the Living Martial Arts podcast. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.